Once you've developed your 3D model, you need to put it in an app and then run it on an iPad or an iPhone. You can't actually run it in the simulator. To do this, we're going to use Apple's demo code because they've already done the work for us, and it makes it very easy for us to actually put in our 3D model. So open up Apple's demo code, then open up the project, and you'll see with their code they've got a it might come all closed up. Remember, if it does, just click those little arrows to open them. They've got a whole lot of 3D models that you can add into your environment, and we're just going to put ours in as well as those. So you'll be able to add in what they've created, but also your own model. Remember, to do this, the only things you can test it on is a real device. You can't test it in the simulator, so you need to test it on either an iPhone SE or later, an iPad 2017 or later, or an iPad Pro. So you need a physical device to actually run that. And I'll go through how you run that on a device in just a minute. To bring our object in, click down to the resources, and then there's a little folder called models, and that's where you see all of the Apple 3D devices here. So chair, cup, lamp. So at the moment we've got the lamp selected. We're just going to change one of these with our device. So we had our device that we created, which was my model. Remember, we saved it as a DAE file. Drag it in. Then you delete the lamp. Now we want to convert the my model to an SCN file. So we go to edit and we go convert to SCN file, and that means that our Xcode will be able to find it when it runs. Now to run it, remember, you must run it on a physical device. So we've got to set up a developer's account. You can either set up one for free, which allows you to put your own apps onto a device, or you can buy an account for $99, and that allows you to put it on to up to 100 devices. So if you're running it in a school, my advice is to buy an account, and then you can use the teacher's computer to put them onto as many student devices as you wish, up to 100 obviously. So that's probably the easiest way to do it. You just do that through the Apple account. Sign up for an Apple developer, and then you can run that. What you'll also need to do is click this little icon here, and then click Team and add your Apple developer account. Once you've done that, you'll need to activate your device. Once you plug your device in, you will need to activate that there. There are a couple of other things that you need to troubleshoot to make sure that you can run your app on a device. One, your device has to be an iPad 2017 or later, an iPad Pro, or an iPhone 6 SE or later. When you connect your device, you'll need to click the deployment target. Now this allows you to pick which version of iOS software you're running it on. You need to make sure that your device or iPad is running this level of iOS. So make sure if you're running in an older phone, you pick something which is a little bit later. For it to work with augmented reality, it must be running iOS 11 or later. This can be a problem when you come to other apps as well. Make sure that you always check the device you're running is the right iOS number. So if your iPhone is iOS 10.3, you must click 10.3 or earlier for it to actually work on your device. But remember, for augmented reality, it needs to be running iOS 11 or later. But if it's a recent app, you'll need to check that it's iOS 11.2 or more recent versions that have been added. You may have to update your Xcode if you've recently updated your phone or iPad. Another element you'll need to look at to make sure it works is when you click on your model, open up this little element here. don't just click a little bit, click the top bit and that will select the whole model. And then over on here you'll see that you have various elements that you can change. The first time you run it, you may not actually see your model because it's probably going to be too big. You're going to have to play with the scale and adjust the scale to various sizes. So if you look at the other ones, when you click on those, they'll come up with a scale and a position. If you click on them, you see various scales. If we go back to our model and we click on it, we need to adjust the scales, but if I click on it, I'm just selecting various elements. So if I change the scale of just one element, you'll see it just shrunk that bit, and we don't want that to happen. So you need to select the whole model and then change the scale. Change the scale on all axes and that will shrink it right down. Make sure, you change the scale to the same thing for all axes, and then we zoom in. It just went a little bit funny. And you can still see your model. Now I shrank it down to 0.03. You need to go a fair amount smaller when taking it from a Google SketchUp model. It depends where you created your model, so you might have to play around with your scale to get it visible. The other thing is, if you take it from a Google SketchUp, you need to rotate it -90. Otherwise your model will end up at 90 degrees to the ground. So you need to rotate it -90 to make sure that it's flat on the surface. But you will have to play with these numbers to make sure the model appears where you want it, looking how you want it. Once you've loaded your app, select the AR app. It will load. You'll need to move the computer around, the laptop, sorry, the iPad even. Click the plus button, then load my model, and then you'll see your model loaded in. At the moment the tracking isn't working very well because I'm in a dark room with a dark carpet. It's not picking up the movement very well, so that means when I move, the model's moving as well. You have to play around with that a little bit. Also try and load it on a flat surface in a better lit area than I'm using at the moment. If you make an error, you can just go back, click my model so it unchecks, the little tick disappears, and then you can reload it on. But as you can see at the moment when we load it, it's still not quite loading and tracking quite right. What you want to do there is just experiment with your scale, your rotation, and you can get it to sit where you want it to. But that's it, loading a 3D object into augmented reality. So we'll just try adding our augmented reality in an environment where it's a bit better lit and see if the tracking works a bit more. So wait for the square to go solid, add your model, and there we are. Our model is added, and you can see that's tracking a lot better when we look away. If we look back, it should appear. Still a little bit of movement going on, but it's much better than it was, and you can move around and look at your model. But there you have it, adding a 3D model to augmented reality.